Natalie Conway, Global Head of ESG Insight at ESG Clarity. Welcome to part 2 of this Green Dream video series with Sandra Crowl, Stewardship Director at Carmignac. Thank you again for joining me, Sandra.
Great to be back again. Thanks, Natalie.
So last time we talked about climate change and Carmignac's approach. Obviously in 2021 we have lots of regulation coming up, so I was wondering, how are you preparing for the EU taxonomy and how will this change reporting and disclosures?
Gosh, it really will be a watershed for many aspects. What do I mean by that? Well, for a start, we have now a dictionary. We have now a pretty well-defined, pretty broad-based definition of what an environmentally positive economic activity is: a business activity, an industry, a sub-industry, and a company activity. So that in itself creates the investment universe where the EU and of course us as investors would be very happy to direct our investment towards. So what have we been doing to prepare for that? For a start, we were very early in working on best practices in the industry, working with our fellow UNPRI signatories, and we've contributed to case studies on the UNPRI website of how to calculate, in fact, whether your investment in a particular company is taxonomy aligned. We've also have anticipated quite a comprehensive engagement program this year, because unfortunately the taxonomy has come out quicker than what the investee companies have been required to report, to publish, and to be transparent on. So we're going to need to nudge some of those investee companies to in fact give us the information to be able to calculate our investment along the lines of the pretty prescriptive manner in which one can define whether our investments are taxonomy aligned. And just briefly, because it's quite complicated, and I do invite you to have a look at that case study on the UNPRI website from us, is that one, we need information on the company's revenue. We need information on the company's operational expenditure. Is it working towards this particular environmental activity? And to what extent? Does it follow the particular technical standards that have been set out by the EU law? Are there negative impacts within this production process or within the company's operations that would negate the positive impact that we were hoping to have through our environmental activity? And what is their minimum standards? How are they managing their human capital? How are they managing their staff? How are they managing their stakeholders? What is their governance? You know, we can't just be environmental focused. We have to be holistic. So for sure, the taxonomy standards are creating a framework for which we want to continue to invest in companies that are working towards energy transition, that are recognized as creating a positive impact on the environment. And certainly, as far as reporting is concerned, we will be soon, actually this month, we'll be offering a reporting that provides not only some insight into the environmental contribution, but also to account for potentially some detraction, rather either on the social side or on the environmental side. So in short, we'll be able to show whether we're creating environmental and social good, or whether some of the investments are detracting from that. And of course, to look through it through these sustainable development goals is also becoming a common framework that investors are searching for.
Wow, it sounds like it's certainly keeping you busy at the moment. Yeah. So interest in ESG has obviously accelerated over the past year in particular. How do you see the industry evolving from here?
Yes, there's certainly been two strong trends last year. ESG funds have in fact grown quicker than non-ESG funds. And in fact, even up until the last quarter of last year, there was distinct inflow into ESG funds, equity funds, and a real outflow of non-ESG funds. So that was a real indication of where investors wanted to place their savings last year. That's one trend. The second one is along the lines of investing in thematic funds that tell a story, funds that are focused on particular initiatives, particular objectives. And one of those themes that we've embraced is energy transition. And I come back to a previous discussion on taxonomy. The Green Gold Fund at Carmignac is focused on three areas of investment: low carbon solutions, obviously renewable energy, enablers, those companies that are enabling that renewable energy supply chain, for example, batteries, and also companies, and this is where we move the needle, also companies that can transition quicker, that can employ more energy efficient methods, and that can reduce their carbon emissions. And now they may be the areas of industry that are actually needed for electrical vehicles, for green mobility, for green construction. But they've been traditionally high emitters. So these are the companies that we would accompany to help transition, help them finance the operational expenditure and the capex necessary. And this is a typical theme that we believe will resonate very well with our investors.
Fantastic. And that leads me on to the next question on Carmignac's plans for the future. What do you have in the pipeline from an ESG perspective?
Yeah, well, I think that we always, whenever, perhaps you know Carmignac and the listeners know Carmignac, we have a pretty focused range of 26 funds, maybe around 18 or 19 strategies within around 36 or so billion euros. So we don't follow fashions, and we don't multiply a number of funds, and we will always want to stay in providing fund offers, investment solutions that we think that we can be first quartile in. And so that is definitely at the forefront of our view this year. We believe that we'll continue to offer thematic investments, either through our energy transition fund, through two funds that are particularly focused on governance, and perhaps a third one that we can talk about at our next discussion, that will be focused on human capital. That'll be an interesting, I think, completion of a range of funds that really reflect what we feel as a company is at the heart of our success, and that is to look after our investors, be client-centric, make sure that our employees are engaged and empowered with an entrepreneurial environment, and looking towards what is important to us today, and that is to create the contribution that we can have towards carbon neutrality. And we've already rendered our own operations, Carmignac's own operations, as carbon neutral. We did that for 2019, and we'll be doing it again for 2020 and beyond. And then the last small, I think, which will be help investors seek the risk profile that they need, they're missing today, is to look towards our fixed income range of funds to endeavor to provide a sustainable solution for our investors that are seeking broadening from equity investments today, our balanced funds, our sustainable offering, the balanced funds, and we hope to move towards fixed income to provide that solution.
Fantastic. Well, thank you for sharing those insights. I've got one more question for you, which we always end the Green Dream video series on. What is your favourite sustainable drink or snack?
Well, that's probably very easy. I think I must drink more than a litre of almond milk every day. And that really does come from two rationales. The first one is, of course, that is to be able to contribute towards a more efficient use of our land not to contribute towards carbon emissions through the meat processing chain. And by drinking almond milk, I'm very, very happy to contribute in that manner. And two, it's very good for your skin.
Fantastic. Well, thank you for sharing. That concludes our series with Sandra. So thank you very much for joining us.
Thanks, Natalie. Look forward to our next discussion.